How's it going, everybody? Shredder Co, aka Zach here, and I'm going to show you today how to replace both cam sensors and the crank sensor on an e46, which this should be the same across all models. I've been having an issue where my car kind of falls on its face a little bit. Thought it was spark plugs, it's not. I scanned the code and it came up with a camshaft sensor, and there's two in this car. And so while I'm at it, I decided I was going to replace both and do the crank sensor, and then I will have my friend Alan at AMA Motorsports hook me up, and he will hook his little fancy computer up to it and reset everything for him all at the same time. So here I have my new sensors. This is going to be the intake cam sensor. This will be the exhaust cam sensor, and this is the lower crankshaft sensor. I got all these very affordable from Rock Auto, and I went with the Holstein brand. So after I use them, I will try to put a little bit of a review down in the comments or description of this video. So I decided to start making this video after I kind of dove into this already. Okay, so now we can see a little bit better in here. This is the intake cam sensor. It sits right up in that hole behind there, but it was a little bit hard to reach. So I'll show you why. You have the, if I can get it without sticking anything, we had a Vanos solenoid sitting right about there, which has a plug on it, by the way, this plug right up top here. So you need to unplug that from the back of here, get that out of the way, and you need to pop this breather hose off. And I had a little bit of trouble starting to round out the nut on that. So what I did was I came in here and I took my oil filter cap off, and I actually unbolted this power steering reservoir, pulled it out of the way. And it is a 32 millimeter, which is kind of hard to get any kind of socket on. So if you have something like this guy here, this is the fan clutch tool, I believe. Mine ended up being a little bit too big, but I've heard some of them work well. But the reason I pulled all this extra stuff off is I just got my big freaking adjustable wrench in there and smacked it with a mallet till it came loose. Anyways, we got that guy out of the way. I also pulled this oil line off from down here just to make everything a little bit easier. It kind of, now my light's falling on me. Get that guy put back down. It kind of blocked off down here. So I just pulled everything out of the way and then got up in here with the 5 millimeter hex, pulled that out. So we chased the wire around. We can kind of see, if you see what I'm pulling on down there. It's this guy, which plugs in right down in there. If you chase the wire, you'll feel the plug. It's the same style as like this right here. It's got a, got a little metal piece you push down and pull it. So yeah, we'll swap this one out. So I'm in here now, I feel that metal piece and I just pull. We'll grab our sensor, pull it right out. So actually the sensor is the male end of the plug. The side with the metal will stay in there, but it makes it super easy. So we'll take this bad one, we'll throw it on the floor over there, and we will get our new one here. Okay, so if you notice, if I can get it in focus here, there's this side right here. It's got one piece there, but it's not on the bottom there. It is going to go, oh, now we're stuck. It's going to go down, so we're going to be pushing in at this orientation here. So we'll kind of snake our wire down in, feel around, and boom, feel it till it clicks, snake it up and around in here, and we will just work that guy up and in. So we got that guy in flush now. We're going to thread our bolt back in there. Try to at least.
There we go. Got it started now.
Break out the electric ratchet. Make sure it's going the right way. Nothing crazy. But boom. Now that sensor's installed. So I'll come back in here, loosen this guy up.
Probably spill some oil in the process. Oh, we didn't.
Get our oil line up in there. We'll come down here, get our 19 millimeter, and we'll just tighten that guy up. Make sure we plug our Vanos solenoid back in. It's just plugged in. The metal prong piece goes towards the bottom. See if I can keep this out of the way enough. We go on the bottom side of the sensor. Just push on. Push our breather tube back on. And come get our oil filter. Reinstall that. And we want to tighten that down, and remember to put your power steering fluid reservoir back. Now that we have our 213s in there, we'll go ahead and tighten them up. Nothing crazy. I use a 36 mil socket for these oil filters, and boom, there's one done. Now we'll be moving on to cam sensor number 2, which is gonna be this guy right here. Squeeze, maybe. Squeeze and wiggle those clips, pull the wire free. We'll get in here. And again, that's just gonna be another little 5 mil. We'll pop that off, and so now we got that bolt out of there. We will just wiggle and pull on the old sensor, get it out here, throw it on the ground. Shirt. And then get that guy seated up in there. So we got our bolt threaded back in there. Come here, throw our electric ratchet. Make sure it's tightening. Ah. Snug that guy up. Drop a ratchet. Find our plug. And bam, plug it back in. And that's both the cam sensors. So that's our exhaust one, obviously. It's on the exhaust side. Our intake was on the intake side. Okay, so I am under the intake side of the car. Here's my fancy control arms. This one is going to be really hard to see, but we are on the oil pan right here. And right here's our, I believe that's our dipstick tube right there. So we're gonna go up and to the right, almost near the bell housing. Bell housing's on the back side here. If I can move these, it's really hard to show, but right up here you can kind of feel that sensor up top. There's a little plug right in here. Gonna push that clip and pop that guy free. Again, this is gonna be really hard to see anything of what I'm doing. Now I kind of just gotta feel around, but there is another one of those hex bolts up in here. I wish there was an easier way to show this. Some people will do it from the intake, like up the top near the intake, but I find it easiest to come and work down here. So there's really no good way to go about it. It's the same 5mm hex again, but it helps if you have one of these kinds of ratchets. You can bend the head, get yourself a really short 3/8 extension with that 5mm on it. I can't get this to focus at all, but you just gotta wrestle up in there until you get the little bolt out and pull your old sensor out, put the new one in, and you're good to go. Plug it back in and send it. Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry, it's really hard. There's not really a good way for me to get it and show you guys, but I showed you where it's at, so I hope that helps. But you just put your new one in, plug it in, and you should be fine.